Hey everyone, we are starting something new this morning. I think I've been looking for just a different change, something to try. I don't know if it's going to be successful, but just in terms of chilling, just in terms of talking some sports, I thought I'm going to start streaming on this channel maybe once or twice a week, sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the evening. But I just thought it'd be a cool idea. So if you're on the replay, please subscribe, drop a like, and I'll just chill, talk. Whoever wants to join, joins, and we'll have a good time. So, all right. But yeah, if you're in here, definitely get in the chat. Let me know. And yeah, I'm just going to talk about some stuff that I want to get off my chest. So, I think a few things. Battle of Alberta last night was embarrassing on behalf of the Flames. That was something I didn't expect. I think you are at home. Daryl Sutter was undefeated, and it kind of became an embarrassment. But that wasn't the biggest embarrassment of the night. It was the Flyers getting spanked by the Rangers 9-0. So that was a perspective there. What's up, Salty? Good morning. What's up, Zach White? So yeah, I'm just chilling. Just wanted to talk some sports for a little bit. Not saying this is like an official show or anything, but just wanted to talk some sports. What's up, Sports Fury? What's up, CD? What's up, Blair? So I wanted to talk about a few things. Obviously, for hockey right now, we're getting close to the trade deadline. For the NBA, we're getting close to the trade deadline. Next week is the NBA's trade deadline. I am kind of nervous for the Raptors. I think for Norman Powell and Kyle Lowry, it's going to be interesting. I think for both those guys, I kind of want to see what the return is, especially for Norman Powell. That guy put up 30 points last night. What's up, Gabe? What's up, Mark? So I'm interested to see for the Rockets. They've made some moves. And for PJ Tucker, I wonder what he's going to do with the Milwaukee Bucks. If you guys want to leave your thoughts in the chat. That one's interesting for me. We've seen PJ Tucker shut down some of the best scorers in the past. He's way past his prime and what he can do. He can still put up threes, like he can get the corner threes. He's a good versatile guy. I like the move for the Bucks. There's a little risk in unprotecting or leaving that first round pick in 2023 unprotected, but I like it a lot. I think you're talking about a move. Or at least moves that the Bucks have made where they're kind of overpaying. I mean, if you look at the Bucks roster, I think they have everything at this point, but it's a matter of like you're trying to match up against the Lakers, you're trying to match up against the Nets. So you paid a lot to get a guy like Drew Holiday, and that's your one. That's your guy, and then you're hoping for consistency from Chris Middleton going into the playoffs. Obviously, Giannis to see what he can do. So. For the Raps, they're just one of those teams for me that if they sneak in, great. If they get into like the 7-8 seed spot, fine. But I think you're not acquiring anything in terms of a buyer. I want to trade Norman Powell now because Raptors fans consistently want to be all over the place. So they're very inconsistent on players. With Norman Powell right now, Raptors fans love Norm. He's going off right now. You could argue he's the best player right now on the team with Van Vliet out. So right now Norm's going off, and he put up 30 last night. The Raps have lost back-to-back, and they lost against the Pistons last night. So it just says enough that the Raptors should not just leave it as is and possibly lose Lowry for nothing and possibly lose Norm for nothing. I think Norm will likely re-sign if they stay, but I think that's my perspective there. And I just wanted to go over a few things kind of all over the place, but you guys leave your thoughts as well. Russell Wilson, it looks like he's not going to get moved. There's been a lot of conversation. I told Josh, the sports reader in the chat, that if there was any possibility that Russell Wilson was going to get moved, the only one that was on his list that I would be okay with was the Bears. And again, when I'm saying okay with, like that's to a certain extent. For Russell Wilson, he's my guy. He's my favorite player. I think I have the jersey here. I don't know. I think it's in my bag or in the closet. But regardless, Russ has been my guy. And like he got me so much more into football. So it would be devastating to see Russ traded from the Hawks. But on the other side, I completely understand why Russ is frustrated. This team Schneider is pissing me off. Pete Carroll showed this past season he lacks the ability to get versatile, the ability to change things up. And I mean, John Schneider's not doing anything. He's not improving the O-line. He's not improving the defense. We lose Shaquille Griffin, and we're still waiting on the KJ Wright. We're still waiting on the Chris Carson. Man, it's just so frustrating to kind of just sit back and watch the Niners make major moves. The Rams, obviously, they improved on their one spot that they were weak in, which was quarterback. And obviously, that was, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but the Matthew Stafford, I watched a little bit of it. I'm going to watch the rest of it today, but the Matthew Stafford video, I think it's about 8-9 minutes. The Lions kind of did a tribute video. It seems really cool. I'm probably going to, not even as a Detroit sports fan, I'm probably going to be in the fields just watching it. Because if you're a Detroit fan, that's one of the guys that's been there for a minute. He's been there for a while. So it's disappointing. Yeah, Josh, it's super disappointing that they haven't invested in Wilson's protection. They haven't invested in what was so successful for the Seahawks when they won, which is the defense. And if they're just going to completely rely on Wilson, Lockett, and Metcalf to just carry this team offensively, and then obviously Bobby Wagner, these are the guys that have been here, right? And if I look at if I search up Seahawks news, they've signed I don't even know who the guy is. He's a former Niner, and he's a corner. It's just so frustrating. They've made no moves. So I feel bad for a guy like Jamal Adams who comes in thinking this is going to be the team that's contending for a while here, and right now they're just not showing. The only thing I'll say about the Seahawks with the running back, I want Chris Carson to return, but I'm hoping that Rashad Penny turns around from the injuries and actually shows something this year, and I think he has the ability to do so. So we'll see what happens on that side of things. If the Cowboys, Jose C2, I'm not too sure. Again, I'm not the biggest NFL guy. I know for the Cowboys, you invested into Dak, and obviously probably if Dak's healthy, one of the best, if not the best offenses on paper. I guess if I can look at remaining free agents for the NFL, for me, the one frustrating one was the Niners and the Cardinals, making huge moves, acquiring guys for their O-line. Hudson was a guy that I wanted for the Seahawks, and I thought he was about to get cut, and it looked like the reports were saying he was going to get cut, and then the Cards just came out of nowhere and made the trade. I guess Cowboys, I wonder, I'm not saying this is a fit, maybe Josh, you can speak to this, but I wonder which teams are going to push for Jadeveon Clowney. I just think with Clowney, as of 2 years ago, he was heavily sought after than the Seahawks. I would be curious if the Seahawks maybe revisit Clowney. I'd be down. I mean, it depends on, as a lot of players, it depends on if he's healthy. Patrick Peterson's still available. So there's options. I think for the Giants are one of the teams that, and again, we'll see what the Bears do. Obviously, I'm not even a Bears fan. I'm disappointed at the fact that they ended up settling with, they have Dalton and Nick Foles as their QBs right now. I wonder what happens with A-Rob and if he's not happy with the situation. But there's two big receivers right now that are available, and it's Galladay and Juju. So that's going to be interesting. Cowboys should go after him. Seahawks should go after him. I'll take Fuller, but yeah, and I agree. And I think, Clowney could be an option there. Yeah, so Blix, I guess for hockey, just a couple, if you guys want to ask a couple questions. I think for the Leafs, acquiring a top six forward is the way to go, but I think they should prioritize a third line center. So that's what I've been saying Boone Jenner for a while, so that's my vibe. And I'll just say, since Josh is in the chat, for the Chicago Blackhawks, they're going to be very active because they're in a very unique situation. They're in a playoff spot right now, but they're obviously super young in a lot of the roster. And then you have the Jonathan Taves question marks when Kirby Dach's making his way back. So there's there's big questions, and I would say the super cool thing about the Blackhawks going forward in the next couple of years too is like they still have Patty Kane, who's like at the top of his game. I wouldn't say like prime, like peak Kane, but I mean he's playing like a Hart Trophy candidate right now. So that's my perspective for the Hawks. They have such a different perspective right now. Like they look at their team like, okay, we're getting a brighter future, but also like we could even make the playoffs. The only problem with that is like the Hawks won't get a top draft pick, but the Blackhawks are in a unique situation where they have the cap space too, especially with Taves on LTIR, and they could retain some caps. Like for example, if the Leafs and Hawks wanted to get together and make like a deal, they could send like a second round pick to the Hawks, so the Hawks can retain some of the cap on whatever player the Leafs are receiving. I don't think the Blackhawks should make any crazy moves outside of that. Maybe helping another team and getting a draft pick. Or, I mean, at the end of the day, the Hawks could take advantage of acquiring one of these guys with term, because the Blackhawks have an opportunity to acquire a forward because they have a bunch of guys exempt. And the defense, I wonder if they trade a guy like Calvin DeHaan. So if you look at a guy like Calvin DeHaan, he could be at risk for being exposed to Seattle in the expansion draft. Yeah, Josh, exactly. The Bulls and Blackhawks are in such similar situations. They've got their star. I mean, you could actually just heavily compare it because you got Patrick Kane. Outside of that, it's all young guys for the most part. So they have this young team around Patrick Kane. And Patrick Kane, MVP Hart candidate right now. So it's like you want to push. And I think they have, I think it's like a 3-point gap ahead. And obviously we're still talking about 25 games. So there's a lot of time. But when we talk about the trade deadline being April 12th, the NBA trade deadline's next week, a lot of stuff is going to happen. And I'll just look at the standings. But I think they have like a 3-point gap right now. 4-point gap. So they're 4 points ahead of the Blue Jackets on that 4th spot. And I've been saying the biggest wild card in that division is Sean's team, Dallas Stars. They've played 5 games less. They have no Tyler Seguin, their number 1 center, and they have no Ben Bishop, one of the goalies. So they're 8 points back right now, 5 games in hand. Say they win 3 of those 5 games. That puts them only 2 points back in terms of point percentage of the Blackhawks. Lightning, Panthers, Hurricanes, lock for me. Unless one of them just go through an absolute choke, Lightning, Panthers, Hurricanes, lock. It's going to come down to Blackhawks, Blue Jackets, and Stars for me for that last spot. I don't see the Preds making a push, especially they're committed to making trades. The Blue Jackets for me are still an up and down, like big question mark because they've got guys that can turn it around. Like they have a lot of guys that have been underperforming, and I think they could turn it around. But the Dallas Stars for me are the big X factor because if they turn it on, they get Seguin back. I mean, they made it to the Stanley Cup final last year, so they do not want to miss the playoffs. And I think if they sneak in, they will give one of those top teams a run for their money in the first round. No, so Josh, yeah, they're out of but they've had the Stars have had major injuries, and the other goalie, Hudobin, has struggled. Blix says, John, do you think the Leafs will trade Robertson, Amirov, or Liljegren? I think they should not trade Robertson, and I think they should not trade Amirov. If they're trading a guy, it's Liljegren. The only situation I'm trading possibly Amirov is if you're getting 2 main guys from Anaheim or 2 main guys from Nashville or 2 main guys from Columbus. That's the only way I'm trading one of those top guys, and it's if you're getting a retention. So I would include Amirov, for example, if it means you're acquiring, like, I'll throw out an example. If they could somehow acquire both, like, Boone Jenner and Foligno, or Boone Jenner and David Savard, and they could get Chicago involved, for example, and retain, like, half of one of those salaries, and Columbus to retain the other half of the salary, bring those guys in, send Kerfoot the other way, I would be willing to trade Amirov in that deal. That's the only chance if you're getting 2 main components, 2 main pieces. How's it going, Sleeping Angels? Niels, Dylan Russell. I also just realized I'll give the wrench there. But that kind of answers the question. The only guy I'm giving up is possibly Liljegren for just one guy. So if it's Raquel, if it's possibly Boone Jenner, if it's possibly... I wouldn't even give up Liljegren in a trade for Granlund. If it was Ekholm, then maybe. Yeah, I mean, Salty, of course. I mean, if I'll look at the Blackhawks line right now, and that's why I think it's crazy. You have these guys that are stepping up for the Hawks. Like, Suter, for me, is one guy that's stepped up huge. Khrushchev has stepped up as well, the rookie. So you have Suter, you have Khrushchev, and you have David Kampf, who actually I've talked to Hawks fans. Like, they wouldn't mind trading David Kampf. I don't know. That's interesting. And then Hagel as well. So you have 4 guys there that were coming into the season that were like huge question marks. You didn't know what they were going to be. DeBrincat's bounced back this year. Kubalik has been pretty consistent. I've even liked Janmark's game with the Hawks. So that's like without 2 major pieces up front. 3 major pieces up front. I actually forgot Dylan Strom's out. So Dylan Strom out. Kirby Doc out, obviously. And Taves out. So I think Strom's only day-to-day. So you have 3 main components, 3 main pieces out in your forward group, and you're in a playoff spot right now. So the Hawks, they should be very happy with where they're at. And I think Jeremy Colleton should be, I would probably put him top 5 in the coaching, like in that category. But for the Jack Adams, Colleton's up there for sure. I think Sheldon Keefe's got to be up there. I think Joel Quenneville, former Hawks coach, has got to be up there. What he's done with Florida is insane. Outside of that, there's a few other teams I think I could mention. I guess Todd McClellan could actually be in there as well, what he's done. But it's going to be interesting. Yeah, Dylan Russell, man, I don't know why again, as a Seahawks fan, I'm happy Wilson's not going anywhere. But in my perspective, I do, and I have a lot of Bears fans as friends. Like, I want the Bears to figure their shit out. Yeah, Nordic, I won't talk about the Flyers too much. I'll just say they play the Islanders tonight. Best way to turn it around is get a win and then evaluate. If they get smacked by the Islanders tonight, especially with the Islanders with no on Anders Lee, and they're trying to figure things out, the Flyers need to make moves, and they need to figure it out. Do I sleep? Honestly, I had a couple hours of sleep. I am busy. I thought, you know what? Let me go live for like half an hour, wake me up, talk some sports, do what I love, and I'll get going with my day. But I'll stay live here for another 15 minutes, so half an hour in total. Yeah, Electro, I feel that. Packers not doing anything, Seahawks not doing anything. The only thing I'll say, and it does make sense, is like I think the Seahawks, I think Schneider's waiting for kind of that next wave. And I don't know, Josh, if you could speak to this. I've kind of noticed with the NFL in the last couple of years, and especially now with COVID, is you're seeing like all these high prices handed out. And it's crazy because like the Patriots even, they're handing out these contracts to Kendrick Bourne and who was the other guy? I'm drawing a blank right now. But then Curtis Samuel gets less. So that was even the weird part. Someone can tell me in the chat who the other receiver the Patriots got. And then they've obviously paid 2 tight ends here. So the interesting part for me is like, are the Seahawks just doing a shit job? Like, are they just doing a bad job at seeking out free agents? Or are they actually, is Schneider being smart and waiting for that next wave of like cheaper options? So you're not spending this crazy amount of money. But yeah, Aguilar, thank you. So Nelson Aguilar and Bourne. So Kendrick Bourne, I'm pretty sure got paid more than Curtis Samuel, or it was close to the same. Which like for me is like Kendrick Bourne was like the 3rd or 4th receiver on the Niners. But Nelson Aguilar, thank you, Jack Schwartz. So the Patriots go after like Aguilar and Bourne, and for me those are huge question marks. And then I'm looking at like some of the low key market for the receivers. That's where like some of these contenders are going to come in and pay not too much. So the Patriots, they missed, and now they're handing out some cash. Yeah, so that's what I think some of these teams are doing. I think the Packers, Seahawks, some of these... I don't know, man. Right now, I can't sit here and say the Seahawks are a contender next year. If they can't bring back KJ Wright, that defense is such a mess. It's already a mess, but KJ Wright for me is such an underrated piece. And then you talk about possibly losing Chris Carson. You already lost Carlos Hyde. If this team's relying on Rashad Penny to go off, the Seahawks will sign. I know the Seahawks were talking to, I don't know how accurate this was, but I know there was a report that was saying the Seahawks were talking to Leonard Fournette. So we'll see. Leonard Fournette obviously played really well all the way to the Super Bowl with the Bucks. But no, Bear Aguilar signed with the Pats. Do you think Wentz will have a rebirth with the Colts? I honestly think so. Like I said, I'm not the biggest NFL guy, but just watching Wentz like 2-3 years ago, I was like in awe. Like there's only a certain amount of like QBs that I would be like, man. There was the one play, and Josh or NFL fans in the chat, like Wentz was coming across the right side, and he was like about to go out of bounds, and he did a side throw and made like, and it was a catch, completed catch, like 60 yards down the line. Like I watched that play, Wentz make that play 2-3 years ago before he started getting injured like a crazy amount, and I'm like, bro, this man is crazy. Like out of the play, getting chased down by two defenders, and he does a side throw as he's getting out of bounds. I think, especially with the O-line, I think the team that the Colts have built, the fact that they're now bringing in Wentz, the Colts are such an underrated team going into this next year. It's huge. I mean, I don't know, Josh, maybe you can tell me, but I'm pretty sure the Colts, as far as I know, have like a top 5, top 7 O-line in the league. So Wentz going into there is going to be huge. Let's see. Granlund and Savard, if we only paid half salary, would make us very deep. Yeah, drop the puck. I agree. I like Savard a lot. I'm not sure if it's the best fit. Well, Savard's a great fit on any team, but I'm just saying, like, we'll see if the Leafs want to spend on a defense rental, because I don't know if that makes sense unless it's not crazy expensive. But I think with David Savard, they're expecting at least a first-round pick. So for me, if they're going to give up a first-round pick, it's for that top 6 winger and then looking for the third-line center. If they can acquire Ekholm and choose to go for Ekholm over Hull going forward, then I guess they might do that. Colts have the best O-line? Okay, so there you go. But yeah, I mean, I think for the Seahawks, I'm going to be patient. But yeah, I mean, there's certain teams that like I think for their fan bases, I'm really excited for. I think the Colts are one of them. I have nothing against the Colts. I mean, that's why it's just like also frustrating in the back of my head, because I'm seeing like the Cards make some good moves, and I'm seeing the Niners like yesterday. The Niners made like 3 or 4 great moves, and I'm just looking at like the Seahawks. I'm like, what is going on here? Ma, you're a Colts fan? There you go. Even like, I don't know. I didn't mind the fact that the Saints brought back Winston at that price, but it's going to be interesting because we only saw Jameis Winston with that Bucs team that was obviously not good, that had nothing around him except for, well, I shouldn't say nothing around him. He had Godwin. Why am I drawing a blank? But are you excited for the Niners and Cardinals? I mean, I'm not excited, but we'll see. But anyways, yeah, Godwin and Mike Evans. So we'll see. But I like Winston's opportunity with the Saints, but I don't think they've done too much there. Again, I think those bigger teams, even the Bucs, like it's not like the Bucs have done an insane amount. They did bring back Gronk. Drop the puck. We'll see. They don't seem very confident in Simmons returning this weekend, but I hope he does if he's ready. Yeah, VC on the Canucks. Yeah, but Jack Schwartz, the only thing I'll say to that is, like, it seemed like the NFC West was, like, there was such an opportunity for, like, the Niners and Seahawks to go on this, like, crazy back and forth. And then the Niners just got super hurt, and they ended up at the bottom. And then the Rams ended up taking over as that number 2 team. So that was crazy. I wonder if the Cards could be the best team. Like Niners, if they're healthy, definitely have a chance to win the division. Like right now, and I'm saying this as a Seahawks fan, I think the Seahawks are the worst team in the division. It's crazy to say, but I'm looking at all the moves that have been made so far. The Rams now have Matthew Stafford, the one thing that they were weak with. Great defense. They have the weapons. I think the Rams are really good. The Cards, underrated defense. I think Kyler's going to have a step up. You have your weapons. I think the Cards are going to be good. And the Niners. If the Niners can stay healthy, like, I actually think, like, the Cards and Rams are the 2 best teams in the division right now. Obviously, Rocha would come in and, like, start flipping out on me. But I honestly think, based on what I see and based on what I know, unless the Niners make a move to, like, yeah, get Watson or something, I think the Cards and the Rams are the 2 best teams in the division. I mean, Josh, some of you guys in the chat, let me know if you disagree with me on that. Right now, based on what I see, the Seahawks missing pieces and the Niners, I still don't believe in that offense. I really don't. So, I know they just improved the O-line, but I don't have the faith in that offense. All right, see you, Niels. I'm going to finish in a few minutes here, about 5 minutes. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a crazy division. And the Seahawks, I don't know, man. For me, yeah, I obviously want to keep Russell Wilson, but they gotta get the O-line. Mark Howard, I kind of alluded to it in my videos, but who I want them to trade for and who I think they're going to trade for is very different. I think they could end up trading for guys like Holla and Granlund, but I want them to go after like Boone Jenner and possibly Raquel. I agree, Josh. And the one thing I'll say is it kind of reminds me of, in a sense, it kind of reminds me of the Browns. Because everyone had the expectations for the Browns. The first year they brought all those guys together and they missed the playoffs. And this year they were like kind of having those expectations, but everyone was just kind of chilling, like cooling down on the expectations. The Browns go off. It was the same thing last year. Everyone had these major expectations for the Cards to go off. And I think this year is like people are going to have maybe less expectations, and I think they're going to go off this year. And that's why I'm nervous. I mean, right now, in this moment, I don't expect the Seahawks to make the playoffs unless they start changing things up real quick. If they can get two pieces on the O-line and get a pass rusher and, I mean, replace Shaq Griffin on the outside, like those are four big moves. Those are four big hypotheticals that I just don't see right now. Like, I love how just, like, Shaquille Griffin's supposed to be nothing. Like, I loved Shaquille Griffin. I was literally so disappointed when I saw that news. I loved him on the Seahawks. So good. And while he struggled a little bit last year, huge piece for this team. So it's like the Seahawks have lost two corners. KJ Wright's not signed right now. And up in the air with Chris Carson, if he's going to re-sign. And just still a shit O-line. And no pass rush. We obviously let go of Carlos Dunlap. And, I mean, there was rumors that the Seahawks are just trying to obviously sign him for less, but it's frustrating. Yeah, it's Shaquem Griffin, who doesn't have his one hand, he's still part of the organization, I believe, but I don't know if the Seahawks are going to, tender an offer or whatever it's called. Well, drop the puck. Wilson's under contract, right? Like, it would come down to the Seahawks wanting... I think that's the biggest thing right now. Like, if it was just down to Deshaun Watson's decision, this guy would have been gone, like, weeks ago. He's obviously under control of the team. Like, the Texans don't want to trade Watson, and the Seahawks don't want to trade Wilson. If it was under their decisions. And that's why I'm saying I don't blame Wilson. I wish he was, like, maybe a little more... Like, I don't even ask for him to be more patient, because he's been patient for a couple of years now. And this O-line's been shit for a couple of years. More. Like, this O-line's been shit for like 4 years. So, I don't know. I think if Deshaun Watson gets moved, it's probably either Miami or Niners, I think. I think there's another team. Niners, Dolphins, and I know there was one other team someone was talking about yesterday. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's why, yeah, he's a decent linebacker. Hey, what's up, Chad? All right, guys, ask a few more questions or a couple more questions. I'm going to head out here in 2 minutes. All right. Yeah, Sleeping Angels. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward, as I've said to you guys, like, school is going to be wrapping up, and I'm looking forward to being able to follow everything. NBA trade deadline, I can't speak, NHL trade deadline, and NBA playoffs, and NHL playoffs, and NFL. So, these deadlines coming up, I'm looking forward to it. Will the Giants get Galladay? We'll see. See ya, Zach White. Thanks for the support, bro. I appreciate it. I would be hyped if Hall was a Leaf. I guess it just depends the price. The deadline is going to be interesting because I think the Leafs are going to make their big moves ahead of time. So It's going to be any time now, I feel like. I don't think they're going to make their moves past April 1st. Like, I think it's going to be in March where they make the big move, or two if they make it. All right. Yeah, Mark Howard, I was saying that. So I'll be streaming all day. April 12th on the Hot Take Hockey channel, I'll be live all day. Probably for, like, at least 8 hours. All right, Josh, I appreciate it. 7:34, so I have about an hour and a half till class, so I'll get a couple more stuff done. And yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. I'll probably do this every once in a while. Oh yeah, the only thing I didn't touch on was Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Who in the chat's watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier tonight or tomorrow? I'm so looking forward to it. Just my quick thoughts. I think it's going to have more action than WandaVision, which I like a balance. I like the emotional, like the storyline side, but I also like the action. I think like this 1 hour episode tonight, I think it's 1 hour. I'm looking forward to Falcon and the Winter Soldier getting right into it. So it's gonna be cool. I think it depends on if I can get a nap in this afternoon, I'll probably stay up tonight to watch it because it's 3 a.m. my time, so that is super late. But yeah, Sleeping Angels, that's me too. I love the storytelling, but I want, like, WandaVision for me was good enough. Like, I think I would have wanted the action to kind of mix in a little bit earlier, like episode 7 or 8. But honestly, the finale was worth it in my eyes. I know a lot of people complain about the finale, but I liked it a lot. And the Falcon and the Winter Soldier for me, I'm super excited. So thank you guys so much. I will be live on the Hot Take Hockey channel tonight, most likely, probably for a shorter stream. I'm going to be super busy today. Probably going to try to get a 2 hour or an hour nap in. At least an hour nap in. But thank you guys. And yeah, drop a like. Have the notifications on. Subscribe if you're new. Subscribe to the Hot Take Hockey account. Go follow me on Twitter or Instagram if you'd like. This was John. Have a good one. Chat soon.